Free Speech Union has launched a helpline for anyone arrested or contacted by Police Scotland after controversial hate crime legislation was rolled out north of the border. And they could be in for a very busy weekend because old firm foes Rangers and Celtic clash at Ibrox in a much-anticipated title decider. While it's no secret that there's no love lost in the stands when Scotland's two most famous clubs come face-to-face, there are concerns that 48,000 passionate fans could fall foul of Humza Yousaf's hate crime crusade. Police Scotland have been forced to pay overtime to deal with the deluge of complaints. And Rangers legend Ali McCoist has led the criticism he's branding the law's unenforceable madness. But the First Minister, who is apparently a lifelong Celtic fan, remains adamant that this is a great idea.
We've got with the Hate Crime Act, with the new offences that created, is a very high criminal threshold. So we have behaviour has to be threatening or abusive and intended to stir up hatred. So I've got every confidence in Police Scotland's ability to police on the back of an old firm game, just as they have done for many years previously.
Well, I'm joined now by Scotland and Chelsea football legend turned top pundit. It's Pat Nevin. Pat, thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. Is this bonkers, do you think?
Well, we're going to find out very, very soon. As you alluded to before, on the first day, there were 3,000 complaints. Now, I'm not saying they were all spurious, but 3,000 complaints on the day that the Hate Crime and Public Order Act was put into force. Now, sadly, it came out on April Fool's Day, which was a bit of a shame, really. So I had all this stuff going on. But then, even worse than that, you've got a Celtic Rangers or Rangers v Celtic game coming on because it's at Ibrox Park. And I have a slight suspicion that there might be some reaction to that from both sides. It has to be said, it'll be mostly Rangers fans inside the ground that day, but there'll be Celtic fans watching and indeed listening. So there might be the possibility that that phone line may well go into meltdown after this one, because we know that there are a variety of songs that are sometimes sung. And, we heard also that Humza Yousaf said that it's a very high bar, a high threshold. But remember, there's another little thing as well, the non-crime hate incident. Now, if it's a non-crime, but you'll still be on file if someone makes a complaint about you from whatever side. So it's a concerning and interesting time, and I'm keen to see what happens at the weekend. And I'll be out there at the game, watching and listening.
Good, well, good. Not stirring up hate, of course. But, I mean, this is the other aspect to it as well. You mentioned the non-crime hate incident, but that idea of, as well, stirring up hate, I think is open to interpretation. Because, if you saw the lyrics of some football songs just written down on paper or read out in a completely sanitised courtroom, as may happen, all of a sudden people go, oh, yeah, that's obviously intended to stir up hate. But when you hear them on the terraces, sung by 40-odd, 50-odd thousand people as part of a song that's sung every week, I mean, that isn't, I wouldn't say that's, stirring up hatred, is it really? It's just part of the game, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure it's part of the game. Certainly it's something that Scotland has, and many people in Scotland are embarrassed about. They don't like the sectarianism that goes on. But one person's sectarianism might be someone else's just belief in their own history. Right? So you have an argument there. So then you immediately start to say, right, who makes the judgment call here? Now, it used to be there was a different set of laws towards it. Now the laws have been arguably beefed up. So we're going to have to try and find out who makes that decision, where they're going to go with that decision. Are the police going to get involved? Now, let's be straight about this up front. You're not going to get the police wading in at 40,000 people and try to drag them all away one by one. I don't think the pencils would last long enough when they put it in their wee books, So what is going to happen from that? Well, we don't know yet. But in a slightly serious note for a moment, if you look at other countries and if there's racist chants, sometimes the games are stopped. Or sometimes there are no crowds let in to the next set of games. Now, I'm not for a moment suggesting that should be what happens. I'm saying that must be a possibility going down the line somewhere. And that is the problem when you bring various legislations in. You always have to watch for a couple of things: the unintended consequences and mission creep. And that's the danger. And I suspect, Patrick, you're on my side with that one, because the fear of mission creep there is the big fear. Now, Scotland originally had another bill a few years back called the Offensive Behaviour at Football and Threatening Behaviour Act. We've repealed it. That's how badly it worked. That's how badly it went wrong. It's been repealed. So, people are looking at this one now and thinking, right, okay, how is it going to be used? Is it going to be used sensibly the way that Humza Yousaf is suggesting there? And by the way, apparently, and I don't know if this is true, but apparently there were more comments about Hans of Yusuf than there was about J.K. Rowling.
There have been. No, there have been, which is, I mean, hilarious, because the police have also said that they are, which again, I don't know why they said this, but they've said that they are going to investigate every single incident, okay, every single report, which technically means that Hamza Yusuf has around 1,800 outstanding police investigations against him, which obviously no one will find against him. But I mean, it's remarkable, really, when you think about it. That guy's First Minister, and again, you see that on paper. Am I right in saying that Celtic fans now have been... they're not going to be at this game because of safety and security reasons? Is that right?
It goes longer and deeper than that. Celtic fans and Rangers fans don't go to each other's grounds and haven't done for a long time. Now, there's a variety. If you ask either side, they'll give you a variety of reasons for it. Some people say it was because one set of fans trashed the other's ground and then they were banned from it. A lot of people will suggest that it's actually purely financial. The fans of one club may not want to be moved out of their seats, their season ticket seats, to let their big rivals in. It's a real shame, because from an outsider's point of view, and I see myself as an outsider in this, the one thing that's the big sell in that game is the vitality, is the noise, is the two sets of noises and the atmosphere, which can be very, very toxic at times. That is the one big selling point around the world. And for quite a few years now, and it's not recent, for quite a few years now, that hasn't been the case. However, I would underline that from next season, Celtic and Rangers have come to an agreement that there will be slightly more of the away fans allowed in. So this isn't a recent thing, and it's nothing got to do with what we're talking about just now.
As well as being a top football pundit and indeed a legend, you are also a taxpayer. Well, I hope anyway. And by that, I just wonder whether or not, probably too much, but there we go. Whether or not you think that you're getting value for money as a taxpayer on this. They're having to bring in extra police for overtime to actually man the phone lines and investigate all of these, no doubt quite spurious at times, incidents that have just come in as part of this hate crime bill, etc. I mean, just as a bloke, as an ordinary bloke, take the football out of it, would you rather maybe that your tax money was being spent elsewhere, do you think?
I think everybody accepts that people in the public sector, be it police, be it doctors, whatever, they are stretched as it is just now because there isn't enough money for a variety of reasons, and everyone will have their own reasons for that from your own political perspective, but there isn't enough to go around. Now, if the money is going to be spent on policemen answering, some of them are spurious calls, not all, but some of them will be spurious calls, when they could be doing real policing, and we all know what that is. Yeah, I think the common man in the street and women in the street will say, well, wait a minute, I don't like this to that at all. So, yeah, I don't think there's any great argument about that. But in the base of it, and it's probably worth saying, I think it's well-intentioned. I think the idea, anyone who says, right, do you want to stop hatred? Yeah, that intention's fine. You like that, people to work together and live together in a more friendly way and communicate in a more friendly way. It's that mission creep they will talk about. And also the argument for freedom of speech, which I, probably very much somewhere where we come together, I'm a great champion of. And the ability to allow freedom of speech and freedom of ideals without it becoming threatening is, again, that's a very dodgy and a very grey area. But if it's leading to a possibility of danger for someone, yeah, I think that's where freedom of speech, it probably draws a line with most people. But at this point in time, the big fear and the big worry of this, there's a number, we're talking about religion purely here, but of course it's disability, sexual orientation, identity, intersex, they're all involved in this. So it's a complex piece of legislation, but the complexity